Here is the 2024 Toyota GR86 Trueno Edition in Halo White. This is one of 860 copies worldwide, paying homage to the AE86, which was released back in 1983. The US, we got it around 1984, which was called the Corolla GTS. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons, the problem that I have, and some of the rivals. This is still going to receive the 5.1 inches of clearance. It's more or less going to be a styling aesthetics. There is some changes to performance in your braking and some of the dampers. Starting on the hood, you'll have the glare resistant decal, which pays heritage to the AE86. Now, there was two different ways of doing that, plus it's the same color as that as well, which you can only option two colors, this one or the track brie. Now, going back to the hood decal, it can be either wrapped for full or half. Gloss black elements on the side pocket. We get the honeycomb for the grille with the Trueno badging on the lower. LED headlights and daytime runnings, they're projected. They're going to be the same on all trims, and underneath that hood is going to house the same Boxer flat 4-cylinder 2.4 liter that produces 228 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, paired to either a 6-speed manual, which reaches 60 at around 6.1 seconds, or a 6-speed automatic, which is what we have today. It's around 6.6 seconds. But I like that you can still tack on the manual transmission, because this is something that's a dying breed, especially when you're thinking about the AE86, because that was a drift vehicle in which this 2+2 sports car, you can have some fun with it. 18-inch gloss black alloy wheels, and behind it, that's Brembo brakes. 4 pistons, 12.8-inch disc reading for the front, 12.4 inches in the back. They are larger, and you can put this same braking kit on your 86 if you have these 18-inch wheels, and that's paired with a Sport Tune McPherson front strut suspension and a Sport Tune multi-link rear suspension. And if you look closely on the decals, you'll see that Trueno edition on the side. Gloss black for the side view mirror and the door handles, achieving 21 mpgs for the city, 30 mpgs for the highway. The automatic will get better mpgs, but the manual will be quicker and a little bit more fun for the drift. But you can put something in the comments to let me know. And I know this is also a famous vehicle, the AE86, because of anime. So if you are an anime fan, also let me know in the comments. The duckbill spoiler will get the gloss black. LED C-structure taillights with the gloss black that runs around it, and getting the Trueno edition badging yet again for the rear. And you're gonna have the same lower with dual exhaust outlets, with the diffuser, reverse parking sensors, and a reverse camera. The problem that I have with the Trueno is when Toyota comes to performance, they don't add performance underneath the hood. Even with the special edition last year, it was a special edition with styling and interior elements in which braking is not going to make the vehicle faster. Changing any of the suspension, it helps a little bit, but I would like to see a little bit more power derived underneath the hood. Quick release, going into 6.26 cubic feet of storage, which is going to be enough for anybody that is wanting to enjoy a fun vehicle. And underneath the floor, you'll have a little bit more storage because we do not have a spare tire. But unfortunately, to split fold the rear bench, you do have to go into the vehicle and do a couple adjustments in order to do so. You have to push them on both sides and drop it down, and that will give you more storage for a weekend ride. We need to go inside, start it up, so you can hear that exhaust note. We get the plaque, one of 860 units, 6-way power seat adjustment with the ultra suede with red and black, heated front seats, it's manual seat adjustment, and it's a sport design bolster. Headroom and leg room. Trueno edition, going to have some special interior, which you've already seen with the seats and the contrast with the two colors. You get the ultra suede up top, just like the limited edition last year. And you'll get this suede up here with a leather wrapped steering wheel. 8-inch infotainment screen that's pretty basic with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. When you put it into reverse, you get a reverse camera and the trajectory will expand out. Dual climate control settings is standard, and this is an automatic with the leather that's going to be wrapped around it. And you do have a little area that you can more or less put a cell phone. Leather wrap around the manual park brake, and here's the good stuff. We got the sport and the track mode, which when you change that on the gauge cluster, you can see the sport. You got snow. Hold it down for track and it'll change the RPM layout. It is also a multi-function, so you can go through an array of information for the driver, including seeing the G-force, your stereo, and the adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, which is now on the GR86. We got the paddle shifts. Going back here, it's going to be soft to touch, opens up to standard 2 USB ports, cup holders, and you get a cup holder here in the center, and here's the key fob for one of 860 units. The door panel and the dash going together with the circular air vents on the side, and you'll have the rectangle air vents in the center. This is an 8-speaker layout. Standard is a 6-speaker, one touch up and down for all the windows. It's going to be soft to touch where it needs to be, and another cup holder is laid out. This is the space you have to enter into the back seat with the seat fully up. And then the way the seat humps downwards, it actually helps a little bit with headroom. You're going to have armrests on both sides and more or less an armrest here in the center. But headroom, you're going to be against the window if you're over 6 foot tall. And if you want anyone to drive this vehicle, it's not going to work at this level because you can clearly see it's right on the steering wheel. This is going to be a little bit more optimal. 228 horsepower out of this Boxer 4-cylinder. With 184 pound-feet of torque. The manual will be quicker on a 0 to 60. You will receive a sport-tuned suspension, and we know the heritage of the AE86. Turn radius will start it off, and we have it in track. You're at 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. It's a symphony. If somebody comes in front of you, you can maneuver in and out. The steering is tight. It feels like a little sports car, which it is. You are a little bit lower to the ground, but 5.1 inches of clearance is better than most sports cars in its class. When I'm thinking about comparable rivals, there's not a lot of vehicles nowadays that has the fun and excitement of a 2+2 sports car at pricing like the GR86. Is it an everyday driving vehicle though? Yeah, I would say so. It's fun. Now you will feel most of the imperfections in the road. These are 18-inch wheels, sport-tuned suspension, 228 horsepower. Is it enough? Yes, it is. This weighs under 2,900 pounds curb weight, so you will feel that torque even though it is lower, and it is mechanically the same as the Subaru. But you're getting some styling elements on the exterior and on the interior, so I feel that it does justify the price. It will take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros of the GR86. There's not a lot of vehicles that offer a manual and an automatic. And when you go manual, it's actually faster than the automatic. The automatic, you're just going to save fuel. Interior, you're getting standard dual climate control settings, standard 2 USB ports. I know the cargo isn't a lot, but fold down the seats and now you have enough to go on a weekend, which is more than enough for the size of this vehicle. MPGs is also great, which typically when you get into sports cars, you're not going to be getting 21 and 30 MPGs. The ride to it, even with an automatic, feels very engaged, which I like that because typically when you get into a automatic transmission, you lose that excitement. You can either use the paddle shifts, or you know what? Just get a manual if you have to. Some cons have to go with you are not receiving any horsepower and torque increase, which I would like to see that. Now I realized last year we had a special edition, which I have a review on that as well. And I like that they do these styling elements and you do get a little bit more amenities. We get 8 speakers opposed to 6, but still, give us a little bit more performance underneath the hood. What I like about the GR86 though is you get the exhaust note. It will filter in more at a 2.5 to 3 RPM, unfortunately. So you will hear a excessive amount of road noise throughout the drive. But when it turns on, it's a symphony. No turbocharge, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, something that is a little bit more bulletproof, a opposed to turbocharged, but I wouldn't mind seeing something thrown on here just to increase that power, and then it would make it a true drift vehicle similar to the AE86. Some other cons: the infotainment screen is very basic, and when you're at a near 40 grand price, you are expecting to get a little bit more amenities. Throw in some navigation. The gauge cluster is kind of the same, in which they kept it retro, don't get me wrong, and for the segment that we're in, I understand and appreciate it. However, we just went through a refresh a few years back and it looks very old. Some other cons is the storage is going to be a little bit tight. I understand it's a small vehicle, but they could have carved out some on the door panel, or maybe even in the center, cleaning it up just a little bit, because even your cup holders, you do have at least one cup holder here. However, to utilize the USB, you have to open this up and then you don't have an armrest. Overall, it's a fun vehicle. Whether you choose automatic or manual, it's going to be a little bit more fun with the manual, because you can do some drifts, so that way you can really pay heritage to the AE86. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Gettle Stadium Toyota for giving us this 2024 Toyota GR86 Trueno edition for our car review.